Well, good Friday evening. It is December 19th, 2025. My name is Wayne Albright, and I am going to do another edition of Let's Discuss Weather as we head into the busy travel time ahead of Christmas. Thought I'd throw something out as we head into Christmas week. We are concluding this week on a dry fashion across the area. It was a little cooler today, and I will go over some things as we through the weekend and through next week. And I often, let's see what we got here. I often get asked around this time of year of snow probabilities around Christmas. And this is an interesting chart that I bring up in the research that I did while I was working. There's an interesting period. This is for Richmond, Virginia. This is snowfall, total snow for each day from late October into April. And as you can see, there are spikes of totals that are higher than others. And we've just been in early December, and lo and behold, there's a spike in the amount of total snow. Then it tends to come down, and there's a real dip around the Christmas holiday. And then it goes back up into the first part of January, just around or after New Year's. There's what meteorologists or some people call the January thaw, and then you have another spike that's more significant even than the first one toward the end of January. But you can see how it's a spike in the total snowfall. That's where you would add year to year. So if it snows on the same day, you would add the next year's snow and then the next year's. So what's interesting, and I pointed this out when I was at work, the dip that happens around the Christmas holiday, and whether there's anything to that. It really didn't surprise me that we did have some winter threats earlier in the month of December, and there tends to be a lesser threat as we head toward Christmas week, and that's clearly shown in the climatology here since 1940. This is Richmond, and I have Harrisburg here, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You can sort of see a similar thing headed into Christmas. There's a little bit of an increase in the first half of December. It does dip down around the 20th to the 25th, and then as we head to the new year, and then it ramps up. But there's definitely a little bit of a downward trend into the week of Christmas. So I think there is something to the fact that people don't notice a lot of snow around Christmas Day or in the days heading into Christmas. You can see it in the climatology. It is very evident according to these maps. And as we head into this year's Christmas week, I think that trend will happen again this year. This is the radar map this evening. We have dry weather east of the mountains from Harrisburg all the way down to North Carolina, Philadelphia. There's some high wind warnings and advisories up for portions of Pennsylvania, West Virginia mountains, even down into parts of southwest Virginia mountains. And the ongoing northwest flow, I've said it countless times, northwest flow in the colder season and snow showers in the mountains and back toward the lakes, and that's going on right now. So we go to what's happening across the United States. You can see the temperature profile in the upper left. It is quite cold. Here's a shot of cold air coming into the western lakes. We did have a brief respite with a little milder air in the mid-Atlantic region today and definitely yesterday, and in some regards, some places on Wednesday. And the trend is a little down today, especially in the north and west, and it will even out to around seasonable to start the weekend tomorrow. It is quite dry. The dew points here in the center, with teens and even single digits back into the western lakes. High pressure on the lower right is centered to the west over the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley. And we still have some gusty winds, especially in northern areas of Virginia, Maryland, and up into Pennsylvania. And they will tend to slacken off as we head through the night and into the day on Saturday. So right now, this is a closer look to the surface map. Again, you can see they're generally snow showers up here. Temperatures only in the low to mid 20s from like State College, Altoona, Johnstown, up into Bradford, Erie, common places in Pennsylvania, even Williamsport, 28 degrees. Farther south, it's still around 50 in Richmond, and in the upper 40s to low 50s the farther south you go. But that will be trending down overnight. It will be a seasonably cold night across the area. High pressure builds in, and we start the weekend off in good shape. So if we go to, not that, this is the upper air forecast. This is 500 millibars, and we're going to track some systems across. We're using the European this evening. I like to mix it up a little bit. There's really not much anything major going on in the weather across the United States, especially the eastern part and the central part. So it's okay to use just one model and just show the basics here. So we have our system here that came through. This is the trough aloft swinging through the northeast today and through tonight. Weak little ridging with the orange colors above normal heights, and a ridge here building across the mid-Atlantic during the day on Saturday. We have the next in the series of troughs coming through the lakes on Saturday night, and that will be brushing the northeast, including the northern mid-Atlantic, on Sunday. And we start the next week doing it all again like we did today, where it will start out kind of cool on Monday, and then the ridge attempts to draw back on Tuesday, and then another clipper type system heads through the northeast, trims the temperatures down again on Wednesday, and then we go into Christmas Day, returning into the seasonable to a little bit milder weather. There is a little bit of a trend toward the ridge building in a little more strongly by the end of next week and into the weekend, which may mean a couple days of mild weather instead of maybe one or two. It may be like 2 or 3 in consecutive time. Meanwhile, the trough is set out along the west coast and just offshore, and that will keep those areas unsettled. But most of the country, from the plains to the east coast, and including New England, even though they get brushed a little bit with a couple systems, there's no major storms out there. So, but mostly travel from this weekend through Christmas Day in the central and eastern part of the United States should be okay as far as the weather goes. And we can see that if we go to the surface map. Let me get the right map here. Trying not to make this too long this evening, because college football playoff will be on soon. So, but anyway, you can see the cold front that came through late last night, early this morning, and the high builds in for Saturday. And here comes our clipper type system through New England on Sunday, drags a dry cold front through the mid-Atlantic. High pressure returns, builds back where it was on Saturday. There's a little bit of return moisture by late Monday night into Tuesday, maybe a bit of wintry precipitation up in Pennsylvania, especially in the mountains and farther north. Most of it will be scattered showers in other places. Not a lot of rain, but maybe an opportunity for at least scattered showers. As a little bit milder on Tuesday. Temperatures trim a little bit on Wednesday into Thursday. And there's a little weak frontal boundary that may set up across portions of the mid-Atlantic with another possible scattered shower type of event, but nothing really that strong or serious. Meanwhile, the west coast gets a lot of precipitation with countless pieces of energy come in and give a lot of mountain snow in central and northern California, and even rain all the way down into southern California by the middle of next week. So they definitely need that. It's the rainy season, and they will appreciate that. But for the eastern part of the United States and the central part of the United States, not a lot of rain. And then Christmas, and then we head into next weekend, and you can see it stays mild next weekend before the next cold front comes through and attempts to bring the temperatures down by the start of New Year's week. So we're still in the roller coaster pattern. We're still in the up and down pattern, and there's really not much to change it in the next week or two. This is the Climate Center's outlook for the 8 to 14 day period. Above normal temperatures across a large area denotes the clipper type systems that go through the northeast keep temperatures near normal, with 1 or 2 days below, 1 or 2 days above, averaging out near normal. Not a lot of precipitation in the eastern part and even the central part of the United States as we head toward the end of the new year. There are some signs going forward, the MJO is in phase 7, but it's weak. Maybe heads toward 8, but there are some signs, at least on the MJO forecast, and take it with a grain of salt this far out, but 11 to 15 day, we start seeing a signal starting to happen, and that leans toward phase maybe 2, 3, or 4, and southeast of India toward Indonesia. And this is what it tries to do. And we're going to see mild weather to close out this month. Whether that will continue to be the trend into January, if it does, and it heads toward 4, definitely in 5 and 6, you see mild weather to start the new year as we go past New Year's. That is not certain at the moment, but there are signs of something happening in the MJO toward the end of this month. And you can see from the diagrams here on the left of the various forecasts, you have the Australian ensemble, the European ensemble, and the NCEP, or American ensemble of the MJO. And it's wiggling around in the neutral phase, trying to figure out it. But there are some trends off to the east, or off to the 4, 5, and 6 side. And that, along with over here, which we'll see if all this balances out and how this works out. But there are signs, at least on the guidance and the forecast from the American GEFS, that the MJO is going to start to get a little more motivated, I would say, near or after the new year. And you can see that here. But what I'm trying to say is there's no real, what you want for real winter and real winter storms is like phase 8, 1, and 2. And you can see that in the composites here. 8, 1, and 2 are the bang for your buck type of winter storm as we head into January, for cold air to stay in the eastern part of the United States and increase the threat for snows. That doesn't mean it can't snow in any of these other phases. It can snow in phase 5, it can snow in phase 6. It has done it a number of times in the past, but the climatologically favored times are 1, 2, and 3. We'll see if it actually returns to that or sets into that. But right now, it seems to be leaning more toward either 4, 5, and 6, or like a 7 and 8 type of scenario as we start the new year. And that could be, a mixture of these, where you have warm episodes or mild episodes and cooler episodes, but locking in a colder pattern like we did for almost 3 weeks may be difficult. So we'll see. That's down the road. But I see a little bit of a sign here of something starting to happen in the Indian Ocean. And that's where we'll start. And the other thing that has me nervous too about a pattern like that, or a pattern coming up that would be really cold and stormy, the PNA is very negative, and it's forecast to stay that way for the rest of this month and into probably the first week of January. That's usually not a good sign for colder weather to really kick in. And the NAO does trend a little positive or neutral, but it stays around there, which means episodes of the cooler weather or colder shots would come into the northeast and maybe settle into the part of the mid-Atlantic. But a real digging in of cold air, if you can't get these two in tandem, a negative NAO and a positive PNA, it's tough to hold on to a cold pattern for the entire period. So we'll see. All these things are conflicting at the moment. I don't know which way it's going to go, but there are signs that some things will change after the new year. But I think through the end of this month, we're going to be on the roller coaster, as I said, and it's going to be up and down going forward. So in conclusion, I will try to wrap this up here so I can get moving here. We're going to start Saturday cold and then a seasonable afternoon, much lighter winds than we had today. And partly sunny north, mostly sunny in the south, 40s most places, lower 50s for southern Virginia and into North Carolina. And Sunday, a dry cold front moves through by afternoon or through the afternoon. It'll turn cooler in the afternoon. Some colder air will come in, especially north and west, and take the longest to get to the south and east. It'll still be mild in the south and southeast, in southern Virginia, central Virginia, eastern Virginia. But it'll turn colder a little bit in the north, in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and maybe northern Maryland and northern Virginia. Highs from the mid-30s north, lower 50s south. It'll be a dry start to Christmas week, seasonable weather on Monday, And then the roller coaster continues on Monday night, Tuesday. A little better chance of some precipitation with this next system, with that next system Monday night, late Monday night into Tuesday than the one on Sunday. Not expecting a lot of precipitation. No major storm, but there could be a wintry mix across Pennsylvania, central Maryland. Otherwise, just some scattered showers. Cools down again on Wednesday, Christmas Day. If there's a frontal boundary hanging across the area, low chances for scattered rain. Otherwise, it should be partly to mostly cloudy and at least seasonable. Highs in the 40s in the north and 50s in the south. And I will headline this again. No major storms are expected heading into the new year, or at least through Christmas and the weekend after Christmas, with temperatures averaging near or slightly above normal across the area. And you can see that. I will close with this chart. Here's Norfolk or Wakefield around Richmond, Southern Virginia. You can see there's roller coasters going on, but there's a real mild push after Christmas. Another one right before New Year's, but it's a up and down, up and down, up and down. Not a lot of precipitation occurring through this whole period, and that lasts into uh, New Year's week. And the same goes for Baltimore and Washington. It's the same trend, but it averages out. I mean, normals are in the mid 40s for highs, so we're generally near or slightly above normal for average with not a lot of precipitation. And you notice this little snow thing down here doesn't have a whole lot of anything. So for the snow lovers, I think Christmas is not going to be a white one. And that generally does follow climatology. Like I said at the beginning, it's hard to get snow on Christmas. So the probabilities are very low, and it looks like this year will be no different. So other than that, I think that will be it for tonight. I wish everybody safe travels if you're choosing to travel this weekend and next week. Enjoy the weather. And for the snow lovers, well, winter's still not over. I mean, it really hasn't officially started yet. It doesn't start till Saturday or Sunday. So there's a long winter ahead. So that's just the way it is. But anyway, stay safe and enjoy the holiday with family and friends. And we'll see you next time.